Hey, what's up, YouTube? Welcome to Play Painted Live. It says 9:15 on the thing. I think I said 9 on the other thing. So that's why the discrepancy. I kind of saw that Tori had popped into the chat. So I was like, oh, well, let's go ahead and turn it on then, as it were. So yeah, I mean, this is actually interesting because one of those rare moments where I actually was ready to hit the record button at 9. But it said 9:15 on the title, so we're just. Whoa! Hey, quiet. It says 9:15 on the thing. I think I said 9. Whoa. The other thing. So that's why. How about mute? How about mute? There you go. We're going mute on the thing. Okay. And I am going to do what I did last time, which is kind of tile the window so that I can see the chat and I can kind of see my live window at the same time. So because everything is delayed because of how this Google Plus feed works, I like to be able to look at what I'm painting live and at the chat window at the same time. Just makes it easier that way. Where is the chat window on this thing? Where'd it go? Uh-oh. Let's blow this window back up. There we go. Hey, what's up, Tori? All right, so I'm going to try to make this so that I can see it at the same time. There we go. So if I do this, haha. See, I don't need to see the YouTube window. I just need to see the chat window. And there we go. And I can see the chat window. There we go. And whoops. Now I can kind of adjust this. There we go. All right. So here's what I'm going to do actually. Because this is a part of the Google Plus community that Boss Tay started with the May Painting Challenge, I will actually open it up and just send out a general invite to members of that group. So if you're in that group, you will actually have an opportunity to hop on at some point. I'm going to see if if Corey or Mark, any of the regular Play It Paint guys are going to hop on. So we're going to give them a few minutes. For that, we can move on with the rest of this here. So I'm going to stick this on here. This is so I got a lot of windows open right now. So please bear with me. Looks like we're okay. Okay, and we'll see who's around. Doesn't look like Corey's on. That's fine. Let's see if I have any other. I am painting. What's up, Tori? Cool, man. You must be painting your Samurai Gray Knights, I assume. They're looking pretty good. I've been watching your videos. So that looks good. Okay, I'm going to turn off my compressor because we don't need that tonight. We're not going to be using airbrush because guess what? I actually finished it before we hit the go live button. Well, almost finished it. It's not quite, but it's okay. It's close enough. So let me go ahead. I'm just going to throw this general invite out and let's see if anyone wants to hop on. Cool. If not, no big deal. All right. So if I invite. Okay. Me. Oh. How do you do the, let's go to communities. Oh, how annoying. Extended circles. We don't want to do, no, we don't want to do that. We need to do, how do I do the, how do I invite the actual Boss Tay community? That I don't know, because it's not in this little drawdown, this little thing here. But anyway, if you are interested, I guess, no, we don't want to do that. That's too many. I'm just going to throw in a few names here then. Let me just throw that on there. And then we'll see if anyone wants to hop on. Okay. Anyway, back to it. Focus. There we go. Good. So tonight we're going to be painting, obviously, some more of our May painting challenge. We're going to answer the day 6 question. Hey, what's up, Justin? How's it going? Copy your link, paste your link into the group. Oh, that's true. I can just do that, huh? Good suggestion. Let's do that. Let's just see if anyone wants to hop on. Let's just do that. Because I do that copy paste thing in the on Facebook, but I never really did it on a like Google Plus community. So let's do that. Let's so I'm just going to put it in there and we're going to see what happens. I don't know. I think since so many people are from the East Coast or from Europe or whatever, the biggest odds we would get would be either people from Australia or you two guys that are watching right now, or we'll just see. Anyway, let's just see how this goes. It should be interesting. All right. So anyway, so let's answer the day 6 question. The day 6 question is you're supposed to do your narrative, or how is it going? How are things lining up compared to your goals? So I'll be honest here. I severely undershot my week 1 goal. And my week 1 goal was to have 1 warband and 1 hero finished. And the warband was the Stilltown Zombies. So we finished Stilltown Zombies. That took 2 days to do that. And then we finished Marie Claude, right? So by the end of day 2, I think day 3, we finished Marie Claude. And then we were already into Claws of the Worm. Claws of the Worm finished day 4, and I finished also a set of creeps. So I did 24 of the Rattlebones. So we'll call this 200% finished, even though it's I guess if you count the 24 creeps, you count the work that I'm going to be working on more tonight, which are these 2. If you count that, I'm probably in the area of 225, 250% of the original goal. So yeah, needless to say, it's quite a bit. I didn't paint last night because I was gaming, but still very far ahead of the original goal, and overall ahead of my monthly goal. So according to my own structure of how I did the narrative, the characters were supposed to go into Stilltown. The main character 88 is supposed to go into Stilltown. He's supposed to fight the zombies out of the town, and he's supposed to save anybody else who's in town. So as you can tell, that's probably going to be successful based on what we accomplished this week. So I guess that answers the question. Yeah, very far ahead of where I need to be, but that's cool because that means the rest of the month we can do other stuff. We can we'll finish this final warband here, which I'll show off in a minute, and we'll move on to some stretch goals. I showed off a few of the stretch goals in the preview video, but there's still plenty to paint, so don't worry about that. Anyway, hey, what's up? This is Justin hopping on.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, it's going all right, man. What's up?
Painting.
Doing some painting.
Yeah. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you're coming in great.
Okay. So it's good. I can finally get on. I've watched a bunch of these, and that's usually it's midnight here, so it's hard to usually get on. I can't be too
It's
loud
like
because
to
the
get
kids are.
everybody's asleep at your place right now, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah. So not, I can't be too loud, but we'll see.
Yeah. My son is asleep right now. I don't know. He went down kind of early, so we'll see if he gets up or not. We may be able to hear him.
Yeah. So, how old is he now?
He is 18 months.
Ah, those days. I remember those days.
Yeah. Yeah, he's into he's got his toddler tantrums forming up, and he's actually
Awesome.
pretty good. I mean, he's been sick. He was sick last night. Um,
Mhm.
he's got a little bit of a flu, but he's doing pretty well. I mean, all things considered. So can't complain.
Yeah, yeah. And kids do get sick. My kids were getting sick for about a month. The little one especially got sick 3 times in a month. And
Hmm.
it was brutal. And then the older one got sick a couple times. My wife got sick too. Luckily, I didn't get it, so I was taking care of everybody. But that's reality, right? That's
Somebody's got to stay healthy, right?
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
My wife also got sick. I assume if I'm the one that's healthy, that I must be the carrier.
yeah, yeah. It must be. You gotta
My
stop
job is
licking things, right?
yeah, the best way to stay healthy is to give it to somebody else, and then you're fine.
Yeah, I think that's how
Sure,
that
that
works.
logic works.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a science behind it.
Yeah.
I didn't do biology. I
So
did history. So what do I know?
so I watched some of your video a little earlier today. Um, but it looks like you're tracking well on your as well. I know Tori is too. So Tori,
Yeah, yeah,
you're looking well. I over like I said, I overshot a little bit, but that's okay.
yeah. Make us
That's
look
actually
bad.
going to work out.
Yeah,
Well, I
but that's
cheat naturally when I do stuff like
clearly.
this. I mean, yeah, if you like, okay, so here, let's just show off this. So this is the third and final warband um, for the Forgotten King, and this is called the Emerald Valley Warband. So it's pretty awesome actually. There's these little mushroom guys. So you get these little mushroom guys, and they tow the big like angry giant mushroom who's got the like you know the spiked flail trying to tie him down. It's like a rampaging mushroom thing. So there's those, and then you get these like boars that come with it.
Ah, that's cool.
It's a really cool set. And then you have the mini boss is this emerald dragon thing, which looks a lot like a enemy for Power Rangers. For some,
Yeah,
that's what this
that's what I was
reminds me.
thinking. Yeah, yeah. That's exactly what I was thinking.
It's a very like Power Rangers looking thing. And then you get a full dungeon boss. This is Goro, um, who's just awesome looking. I don't like this guy. I kind of I'm kind of tempted to after I paint him up to just take him places with me and then take pictures of him
Take
at that place, you know? Like if
yeah,
I go to Hawaii or something, I just stick him on the beach and take a picture and put that on my Instagram, or, if I go to the Eiffel Tower,
yeah.
stick
Traveling
Goro
chibi.
on the Eiffel Tower.
That's perfect.
He'll be my like my traveling gnome guy.
Yeah,
So,
traveling
um
chibi boss.
yes.
That'd be cool.
And,
He'll be
and
good.
then these are the spawn points, so they're just little like mushroom tree stump things. And then finally, the final hero that I might paint, I might be painting this Saturday is this. This is the deep the deep root wolf rider,
Huh?
who is just this is just like my one of my favorite models in the entire. This thing blew me away when I opened this up. This
Yeah.
was like she's kind of like a I don't know if you've watched like Princess Mononoke or anything like that.
Hmm.
Um, that she's like kind of like a forest huntress type thing riding. It's just such an awesome
That's
miniature.
cool.
So
Yeah.
so yeah, so I don't know. I may bring her with me for my painting event Saturday and paint her, but I haven't decided that yet. So um but anyway, I'm just priming them tonight. This is not what I'm going to be working on. I just had them out because I was priming them. Um, what about you, Tori? You want to share what you're working on at the moment? Did I go silent or hello?
Hello.
Yeah, do you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, just making sure. I thought it's not uncommon to have audio problems on my end, so get a little
Yeah.
paranoid
Sorry.
when it goes.
Yeah, I'm working on Samurai. So there's number 6,
Mm-hmm.
and Tristan Athleth said I need to put purple on one of the guys, so I decided I'd give him a purple kimono or purple vest, and I want to put something on the back, some kind of design, but I don't know what to put. Maybe
Oh,
a
that's
flower
cool.
or something. So
And so
he's
those are the North Star Ronin miniatures, right? That's like the
yeah,
is that
yeah.
the Bushi Buntai or
This is the Koryu Buntai. So
oh, okay,
from Seven Samurai and like a couple extra guys, because there's 9 of them, and they're really cool. They're really neat.
nice. Yeah, I have a set of the Bandit Buntai
Yes, I have them
um
too. Yeah.
that I painted up. Those were really fun. Uh we played Ronin for about maybe 2 months, and then it just kind of settled down for a bit. Very fun game though. I hope that isn't any indication of the game. The game itself is actually pretty fun.
I've
I
heard.
don't know
Yeah,
if you.
the my local group they played it a lot, and it's a really good pickup game for conventions too.
Yeah,
Apparently.
it is. Actually, all I would say that in general, the Osprey games are very good games for conventions. Inner
Yeah.
Majesty's Name is fantastic for
Yeah.
conventions
Yeah. I
because
did that
that
last year.
game,
It was good.
mhm,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a good one. I haven't tried Fistful of Kung Fu, but I picked it up, and I'm really intrigued by that. I really want to try that game out because um, I don't know. In fact, I'll tell you this: the way Fistful of Kung Fu works would lend itself very well to using the Super Dungeon miniatures
Oh.
because is it the way your gang is constructed? You have a protagonist, so you have like because it's based on movies, so you have a main
Yeah.
character who's like super OP, and then you have a bruiser, which is like their main bodyguard or buddy or whatever, and then below him you have a bunch of the bruisers, which are basically just your film extras, right? So they're just kind of you know they're just kind of chaff, and so the way Super Dungeon is built, the warbands that's the same structure. You have your minions, then you have an elite and a mini boss. So I'm like, wow, I could probably adapt uh, the game for Super Dungeon minis, and I think that would be kind of fun.
That's cool. That's really neat.
So,
I'm looking at Open Combat, which just was on a it
oh
was a
yeah,
Kickstarter, and as a way to use a bunch of models that don't fit together normally, but because I think you can play it pretty open and have like say samurai against Normans or something,
hmm
which I have. I guess you could do the same thing with these Super Dungeon Explorer fantasy models. I'm sure it's easy to
yeah,
create stats for those guys too.
yeah. That would be pretty fun actually. Tori's saying my Grey Knights against your samurai.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I guess you could potentially
they
do
could,
that.
yeah, they could like hit the bullets in midair, or the bolts, I guess. Nah, they're dead. They're gone. The, the painted ones will do well. The unpainted ones, they're not painted, so they die.
That would be a law.
Yeah,
You don't get an armor save unless you're painted.
yeah.
That would be pretty awesome, actually. But yeah, Fistful of Kung Fu is one that I want to try. Um, Blackwater Gulch, I actually picked up some models for.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Um, but I don't know. I looked at the quick start rules and it seemed a little too bare bones. Seemed like
Hmm.
it was missing Seemed like it, and I know it was quick start rules, not the full rules, but it
Yeah.
still seemed kind of, well, this game seems to be missing stuff. So,
Have you played any cowboy games that you like?
let's see. The last cowboy game I played was Dead Man's Hand. And I like
I've
that
heard good
game.
things about
It's
that. Yeah.
yeah. Oh, hey, what's up? Greenleaf Train's on. What's up, Adam? Um, yeah, that game it's a I guess like a spaghetti western style. So it
Yes.
plays like a movie. And you play it in scenes, and it uses dice and cards, and it uses cards um, in terms of how you determine your activation order, which is a pretty neat mechanic. Uh, the one criticism I have of the game is it's very scenario dependent. So, and the main rule book I think only comes with like three or maybe four movies, because you play through a game is a movie, and the movie is comprised of like three scenes. So it it felt a little limiting from that perspective, but otherwise I like the game.
That's neat. Yeah, I've heard a lot of it about it. I've read a lot about it, and yeah, it seems pretty popular. I think that cinematic kind of gameplay a lot of people like. I like it. I think the cinematic feel is what I like in a lot of games. So I'd like to
Hmm.
try that one. I have some cowboys painted. I have some buildings, but I never played any of my own. But I have Legends of the Old West, the Warhammer historical one.
Oh yeah, yeah. Hmm.
And I like the GW style of game for like a quick, simple kind of game like that. I'm
Yeah.
sure there's not a lot in it, but if you want something quick and easy, I'm sure that's there. Maybe I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, and a lot of times you just play those games for a theme anyway. So
Yeah,
it's not
yeah,
like you don't necessarily need like this deep tactical game there. You want to see people shooting each other to death pretty much.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Pew pew, right? Pew pew.
Yeah. That's kind of been my approach to games lately is, yeah, I mean, I do like the heavy tactical games. Um but I also, for me, I think it's more important to have, if your game system allows for big moments.
Mm,
Even if those moments are not necessarily balanced. And I'm talking about, like, you need you need to roll three sixes in a row for this to happen, and then it suddenly it that one game it happens. Stuff like that is pretty awesome. And I know
yeah,
it's not balanced, but it's just a means of, it gives you something to remember. I almost feel like if a game is too balanced, then it's too predictable. And you're like, okay, well, I took this and this and this, and the other guy took uh, the hard counter to it, so I'm pretty much boned, right? Um, or it's so balanced that the games are um, that the pieces aren't very different, and the games are pretty
yeah,
um,
yeah,
are pretty predictable. So I don't know. I know it's not a popular thing to say to gamers, but I'm like, sometimes it's okay to have some imbalance if it means that you end up with a really entertaining experience out of it. And
yeah,
case in point for that, for me, would be like Blood Bowl, because Blood Bowl, they're pretty unapologetic about the idea that not all the teams are created equally. They'll tell you which teams are more challenging to play. But that's the very reason why veterans of Blood Bowl will gravitate towards those difficult teams, because that moment when the tree man throws the halfling in for the touchdown is a pretty amazing thing.
yeah. That's cool.
Actually, I'll correct that and say the moment when the troll throws the goblin in and doesn't eat the goblin for the
Yeah,
touchdown, that's an amazing moment.
yeah. And that's why you play, right? You play for that fun, that
Hmm.
cinematic, that big thing. And if you can picture that happening in real life or whatever, uh, a troll picking up a goblin, looking at it, should I eat you? Nah, you know, or it's cool.
Yep. Cool. So let's see. Any other comments right now? No, no comments. Okay. So, all right. So I guess what I'll talk about here for a minute, since there's a few of us online, is I want to talk a little bit about this coming Saturday, because I want to see if Tori will come down. Because I know Tori lives near me, and we haven't met. We have yet to actually meet, but this Saturday, for my LGS, we're having a paint day down there, and it's great that it lines up with the May painting challenge and all that. And it's an event that I'm co-hosting with the shop. Basically, they look to me for painting stuff, so I'm kind of on hand to help provide assistance. I'm going to provide some of the materials, and the store is going to provide the price support. So it should be pretty cool, actually. I've never really thrown an in-store. Well, that's not true. I have thrown an in-store painting event, but it was not very. It was too focused. It was focused on the cipher miniatures, so it didn't really see a lot of attendance. This one is much more general, and so there's a lot more people that are interested to come and paint whatever they're working on. Some people have told me that they're going to be painting X-Wing. Some people are going to be there's a Privateer Press Journeyman League, and they get points for painting. So the members of that was really cool. The press ganger is like encouraging his group to come down and paint. Then we have the people that we game with regularly. They have been bugging me that they actually want to sit down and paint with me, so they will be there as well. So overall, I mean, it should be fairly well attended. And I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I don't think I've ever hosted an event for a large number of people painting before. And I told people that it's not really going to be a class. It's just going to be let's get together and paint. And if you wanted to bring somebody brand new, I can help them get started. But I'm not gonna like host a quote unquote painting class, because I think most people who do any amount of painting they're not going to learn too much from me, other than how to go a little bit faster. But they're not going to learn. I don't know. I wouldn't go over like toothbrush blending or anything like that. This would all be pretty standard stuff.
Just direct them to YouTube.
Yeah, I was like, go watch Tony. Go watch a painting clinic. He'll teach you how to do stuff like that. There's so many guys out there that are technically, on the technical side, so much more savvy that I would rather they learn from those guys.
Yeah, there's something nice about getting together as a group and just painting.
Yeah,
having big painting sections. It's cool. Social.
Have you now? Did you ever have like any of your gaming buddies or anything like that? Did you ever paint as a group?
Yeah, actually, the first mini I painted, and it's one that I talked about in the video the other day for that question, was a dwarf that belonged to my friend, and I still can't remember if I had bought minis yet by that point, or if we were just playing minis and I was at his house. But I think there were about 5 of us at that point, and we just had paints out, minis out, and painted, and it was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And since then, I think I've done it another maybe 2 or 3 times, where there's like 3, 4, or 5 of us or whatever, and we just sit, chat. Some people drink, some people don't, and we just paint for a few hours, and shoot the blank, and have fun, and share painting stories, and then share like other stories too, whatever comes up in conversation. But it's because I'm a gamer. Otherwise, that the social aspect is there, and it's an important part of the hobby for me. So
Hmm.
painting socially, I think, is really cool too. I think everyone should try it if they could. Um, it just everything is nicer in group. Well, many things are nicer when you're with other people. Some things you want to do alone,
For
um,
sure.
I think painting is something that it's good to do once in a while as a group.
Yep. Yeah, I gotta agree. I mean, when my brother and I first got into the hobby, there were four of us, I think, and we it was interesting because we all started on the painting side, and so we did all that. We used to get together, and my parents had like a basically a shed, like a back in our backyard, and my brother and I took over the shed and set up our paints in there. You know, had a radio in there, a little uh, those little window mounted air conditioning units. We put one of those in there, and that's what we did for like a whole summer. Was we would just paint, sit back there, like you were saying, hang out, maybe crack open a beer and paint.
Yeah.
Oh no, we were underage. We didn't do that.
Oh, no.
No, we didn't do that. But
Didn't
yeah,
even think of that.
uh, that's where it got. That's I think, and I think that helped. Um, at least for us, it helped ingrain the idea that, hey, sit down, paint your stuff. It's fun. Especially when you, like you said, when you paint with other people, and it's not just a matter of having somebody to talk to. It's inspired, and that's kind of like the whole basis of the challenge too. Is if you're watching other people's videos, you're watching their progress. They inspire you. You go back, you work on your own projects, right?
Yeah.
And you got this kind of synergy behind it. And and doing that live is, in my opinion, even just that much more powerful, because you're watching somebody paint live. You can ask them live. You can watch. Uh, One of my friends was telling me that there's something different about like learning from somebody live rather than just watching them on camera. And really I'm not really sure
Hmm.
what exactly that entails, but I'm going to have to agree with them that, if you're sitting down with somebody live and painting with them, it seems like you pick up just a little bit more.
Yeah. Maybe something about it being 3D when you're in person. I don't know. Just the way your brain maybe picks it up.
Hmm. Or maybe you just retain more of what you're watching because it is, it's more, uh, I guess, more directly relevant to your. I don't know. I was just making it up. I don't know. We'll see. Well, I did have a friend ask me specifically. He's like, "Look, I know what you do. Like, I've watched your videos. I know how you paint. I know I've heard you explain it, but I want to see it live. It doesn't make sense to me until I see it in front
Mm.
of me." So I was like, "Okay, well, I don't know exactly what you'd gain, but I believe you." So
And hey, if you
so
can
there's
actually
that.
help someone by doing it live, better than them
Yeah,
still being
absolutely.
stuck or whatever. So
Hmm.
share the love, right?
Yep. So David Love, hello from Virginia. What's up, man? How's it going? And then Tori says, I learned better by hands-on. Yeah. Yeah, me too. Now, a lot of us learned how to paint before this whole internet slash YouTube stuff really took off. And I can safely say I was a pretty horrible painter up until not necessarily YouTube, but up until I started to get outside my immediate circle and meet and game and hang out with people that were also painting too, because you always pick up something new from somebody else as well. um, and I think and YouTube just makes that easy too, because you can watch. For me, one of the most influential videos that I watched was uh, I want to say it was girl painting. Girl painting, like one of her early videos that she did. She painted shoot. I think it was some fantasy orc miniature, and there was no voiceover on the video, and it was just kind of a sped up process, start to finish. But I felt like I learned so much just from watching somebody else do ring, somebody else do highlighting, and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So
What I really like about the YouTube videos is when people talk about, like, they just tell you their thoughts on why they're doing certain things, and they'll tell you why they're blending this way or that way, or why they're putting more of one color or the other, and they kind of tell you what they're going to be doing later on. And I think that's really cool too, when people just talk their thoughts. I think that helps. That helps as well. That helps me for sure.
just thinking out loud, basically.
Yeah, yeah.
Having someone nearby can help to see. Yeah, sure. You know what's really cool? I got to give this to the GW shops too. Is the GW shops will encourage painting in the shop, and I always thought that was a really cool thing, that they would help you and encourage you to paint in their shop.
Yeah, you know what's interesting about that too is there's that GW style. I call it GW style, where they're very the highlights are very bold and very
Yeah.
stark, and that's not what I like personally.
Mm-hmm.
But a few of my friends paint like that, and it's interesting when we did get together to paint in our little painting sessions, when we have such different ways of painting, different styles. Like I like the more like I call it realistic, but more darker, subdued tones, as opposed to the
Yeah.
bright, stark contrast with the highlights. And it's just neat that people are doing the same thing. Even sometimes even
Yeah.
working on the same models.
You can always.
So yeah, like people just you can learn from each other, or just see how different things go, and choose what you like, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Painting Soviet 28 millimeter World War II. Is that for bolt action, David? And Malifaux. Okay. Sweet. Now, one thing I think I probably will, by the end of this, I probably will be a little burned out on the chibi style. So I will probably take a little bit of a break from it. Not too long of a break, because I have commissions coming through, but I probably will take a little bit of a break from chibi once after May.
Yeah, seeing your these warbands again makes me want to get back to my core set, Super Dungeon Explorer. I've done three of the heroes, and that's it. But every once in a while, I feel like I want to paint those, either the minions or more heroes, and I haven't played the game yet. But I've got a few, the three minis painted. I want to paint more. They're really cool models, really well done.
Yeah, they're very fun to paint. The I'm planning I want to say in the next 2 to 3 weeks of doing playthrough series
Oh
to
yeah.
go over the new arcade mode. And there's actually a few already out there that I was watching there where they do playthroughs of the new arcade mode, which are pretty good in terms of explaining things. My gripe, though, is that because the stuff isn't painted, it's very difficult to kind of follow. And that this is not me being a painting Nazi, by the way, but it's very difficult to kind of follow the action if you don't know the shapes of the models or whatever, because they're all the same color plastic.
Yeah. Oh, that's understandable. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's see. David asks, is the professional painted miniatures in GW's magazine help or hurt to promote gamers to paint their models? Good question. What do you think?
Um, I'm not easily discouraged. So if I try painting something and it doesn't turn out like it does in the magazine or in the rule book or whatever, I don't get discouraged. But I know people that are, and I'm sure many people
Hmm.
are, and they see that really high quality work, try to mimic it, and then fail, and then kind of give up. And I've seen it. I've seen it happen.
Yeah, I think it's yes and no, depending on the person. Just like you said, there's the people that I know that are, we'll call them hardcore miniature gamers that don't paint. They've all tried at one point, to
Yeah.
my knowledge. They've all tried, or they have, or they have a really good reason why they've never even tried. Like, they may have nerve damage in their hand or something like that. Um, and the ones that give up on painting are the ones that are like, I see other people's miniatures and I see what in my mind's eye, what I want my miniature to be, and it's perfection. And anything short of that, I turn around and quit. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about that, honestly, because I can kind of sympathize with it to one degree. Another part of me says, "Hey, that's a shame that you've given up," but I don't know how many times they might have tried, or,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, uh, but yeah, there's guys that are telling me, yeah, I have this image of perfection in my mind. They'll spend, according to them, they'll spend like several hours trying to get one detail right, and if it let's say eyes or a face or something like that, and if it doesn't come out exactly the way they want it to, then they'll quit. And it's almost, the argument is almost that standard of perfection is part of the reason why their expectations might be unrealistically high.
Yeah.
Um,
Totally. And I find that the Infinity models, they bring out a lot of frustration in people. They're so small, so slender that a lot of
yeah.
people are afraid to paint them, so they don't paint them. They like a lot of guys locally will not try to paint Infinity. They just
Oh, for
do not
sure.
feel
Yeah.
they can do it, which is too bad.
In
But they are really nice models. So,
Yeah, I admit the very first set of Infinity I painted was pretty intimidating. I painted an Aleph starter, and that that was a gut check, because I was like, these are, the detail is so fine on these, um, and I felt like I wasn't allowed to quote unquote use some of the shortcuts that I normally use, because I wanted to do the models justice. So I could see why people get intimidated by that particular range.
yeah. Now I can talk from experience. I usually use a lot of shortcuts, like paint the base colors, give it a good wash, and we're done. And I'm very happy with most of my models. But for these Ronin models, for instance, I'm using very few washes.
Hmm.
The skin I'm washing, but all the clothing, like even right now, I'm doing highlighting with the white on this white on this guy's white, and it's something new for me, but I've worked towards this point where I'm now comfortable to do this. Whereas a year ago, washing was like the only way I did things. So a lot of people I think need to realize that sometimes it takes time, and you learn over time. Some people might pick up a paintbrush and be awesome right away. Some people might need even a few years or whatever to get good enough to their own standards that they're setting for themselves. But um, you know, personally, I would say giving up it shouldn't be done too soon. Try
Hmm.
until something happens.
Yeah, this is a good point. I guess the other thing I would say too, kind of along the same veins, is the same vein is you're not going to learn everything in the one project. You know, even if you did let's say you bought a miniature that you intend to paint and you want to paint well, um, but you're going to do a practice round first. You're gonna want to, ultimately, you will, as you continue to paint, you'll continue to improve. So every project, um, at least for a lot of us, gets better and better until you hit a point where you're very comfortable painting a particular style. And then once you get really comfortable painting something, then you're going to want to, then that's when you really start to experiment and add something new to your miniatures as you go through. I don't know even if that made sense or not, but that's how I look at it. Like the I paint stuff with the understanding that if this is my first time in a range, I want to paint what I consider to be my least favorite models, like the rank and file stuff, because I know
Yeah.
I'm going to get more comfortable with the range as it goes on. By the time I hit the hero or whatever, then I'll be able to kind of leverage what I've learned and do a better job on the characters.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Let's see. A lot of the photos submitted, some of their photos are too close up, and you can see their flaws. That's okay. Yeah. Never read or promote fast paint or war game quality from GW. Okay. I'm not sure if I'm reading that right. Never read articles or promote fast paint or war game quality from G. I'm not sure. I'd say every time you paint something, your ability will grow. Yeah, and I'm a firm believer in that. It's not, there. I think that it's simply a matter of just continue to paint. You're gonna get better. Obviously, you want to also try new things, but I'm of the opinion that you get comfortable with something and then you start trying to do new stuff. I think the last real thing that I've learned is like some of the airbrush highlighting, and that was after almost a year of using airbrush only for priming and for base coating.
Wow. I haven't
Because
even tried airbrushing yet, and that's one of those next steps, those future steps that will happen.
my first few months airbrushing, I hated it. I absolutely hated it because I felt I was a pretty fast painter before airbrushing. I was just pretty good at completing things and painted to a reasonable standard and all that. And airbrush basically, well, when I first started trying the airbrush, it slowed me down because I was so used to my own, to my current paint systems, and airbrush was like, well, if I felt like it slowed me down. I felt like uh, the paint jobs I did were not as good, and they weren't as my, as my standard, my traditional paint jobs at first. And I just kind of had to accept that for a while I got comfortable around it. And then once I got comfortable around it, then things started to catch up. I got my quality back to where I wanted it, and then obviously it impacted my speed as well. So overall a net plus, but it was a learning curve. It did take some time to integrate it.
Yeah, I'm sure it's like you know how to ride a bike, and you want to learn how to ride a motorcycle. There are a lot of similar techniques and similar things that you have to do, but there are a lot of new things that you need to learn how to do. But if you have a basis in painting, you can probably have. I'm sure. Again, I don't know because I don't airbrush, but I'm sure there's a lot of things that you learn by just brush painting, and you can
Oh yeah.
transfer to airbrush.
Yeah, like the most important skills to carry over would be thinning paints and then just knowing where to highlight. Those are probably the two most. You spend with airbrush. What threw me off was that the amount of time that you spend keeping the instrument clean, and the amount of time you spend making sure that your paints are properly thinned, or that they're the right consistency, and then the rest of it's just muscle memory. I think a lot of times we want to go straight to just dropping the paint in the gun and spraying and learning our muscle memory, but there's a lot of learning that needs to happen on the, I guess I'll call it the administration side of the instrument before you can really buckle down and learn techniques on it. Let's see. The only airbrush I use is spray primer in base coat vehicles. Yeah, and that's all I was doing for the longest time. It wasn't until honestly, it wasn't until last summer, Relic Nights, where I got these big, mecha pieces to paint, that I really started to experiment. Like, oh well, why don't I try? Zenithal priming? Why don't I try um, highlighting with the airbrush? And it was at that point that I started to put learnings together. And then when you marry those up with stuff you already know from traditional painting, like, oh, okay, well, I can highlight this way, but then I can apply an ink, or I can wash, I can line highlight after I do my airbrush highlight, and that just makes the painting much sharper. So it was pretty cool when who the Infinity studio painter is, right? Angel Giraldez.
Yes. Yeah.
He put out that book this year, the Masterclass Volume 1.
Yeah.
Did you pick up that book, or?
No, but a friend of mine did. He loves picking up those kind of books, and I think they're really cool. But again, because I'm still such a basic painter at heart, I feel that
Mhm.
that's beyond me. So it looks good, but I'll buy models instead.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I picked it up um, because I was, I really interested, because I knew that he did a combination of airbrushing technique and traditional painting, and plus I wanted to paint the limited edition mini. So there's that. Um, so I picked it up, and I and I his technique um, is not dissimilar from my own or my current one. So I was pretty stoked about that. But obviously he's uh, you know in a completely different league. But it was pretty cool, pretty eye opening, like to see the kinds of stuff that he can pull off by marrying up the two techniques.
Practice, 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 right?
Yeah. He also uses like that airbrush that I've had my eyes on for a couple of years now, the $300 Harder Steenbeck. Uh, let's see. Daisy X, learning to use airbrush is freaking miserable. Sometimes I wonder if it was worth it. Yeah, I went through, I want to say, a period of almost 3 months where I just hated to pick it up. I hated to pick it up. And then I just kept doing it. I don't know why I stuck with it. It was like, oh, and part of it too, though, was I was having some bad experiences with the Minotaur line from Badger, which I have since rectified. I had some bad experiences with, interestingly enough, the Patriot 105, which I know a lot of people swear by, but I had such a bad experience with it that I went to the masters, the Chinese airbrushes, because I was like, well, I'm not going to spend money if I hate this technique. And then I got really used to using the cheap airbrushes. Uh, so once I kind of, made the system my own, then things started to get more comfortable. Still reading some comments here. Welcome to Play It Painted Live, guys. Troy Perez, I'm a big fan of Reaper Bones. Whenever I want to practice airbrushing, spending $2 for a mini is a cheap way to do so. Reaper
Right.
Bones too is, yeah. Have you painted any of that stuff yet,
No,
Justin?
no, not at all. But
Um,
but they again, for $2, you're right. Like, why not try out some techniques on a mini? And if it works out, you got a cool painted mini. Done.
yep. They have, they actually do, in Reaper Bones, they do have some pretty cool looking stuff for the price. So what's
Yeah,
up, Troy? What are you painting tonight, or are you painting? I like this live chat stuff. This is like my older shows. You guys would comment, and then I'd get to like I'd get to it like 45 minutes later.
Yeah, I
When it no
remember that.
longer mattered, the person logged out and like, screw you, Octave.
I was actually thinking that I think there were a couple times where I had to go suddenly, and then I came back. Like I had to go like help my kid or whatever, and I came back to the computer, and you were like not yet at the question, and then you get to the question. I'm like, oh, I'm glad I made it back for that. That's good timing. Oh, technology! I tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I like this. This looks a lot better.
When they first offered this, and they had a live comment section, they used to be so bad. Like you would get nothing in your comment section, and people screaming into their keyboards, and then it just went to YouTube comments, which again that took like 45 minutes, and so hold on, I'm getting another message here. Oh, okay, that's Phil. Looks like Phil is in for Saturday. That's cool. Nice. So I have another experienced painter down there. I'm working on Drop Zone Commander tonight. Cool. I used the
Which
Sotar and the
factions,
Patriot
Bush?
book.
Oh, sorry. Which factions? I've got most of my Scourge starter done. I just have to do the infantry, and those are really nice models to paint. Really well detailed.
Nothing yet. I use an old miniature to practice and then toss it into simple green to reuse. That's another good strategy too.
Hmm.
I
I
was
need some
thinking
simple green.
for
Sorry, go ahead.
oh yeah, I was thinking for Saturday, because I have an unpainted classic SDE set that I might bring down a few kobolds so that people, who just want to learn basic painting stuff, they can paint a kobold and it doesn't really affect my collection or anything. And then I
Yeah.
can toss that back into simple green and reuse it.
Unless the store would want a set of the game painted by random people that came by. That'd be a cool collection of if
That's a
multiple people
thought, yeah.
can paint. You know, if there's like are there like 8 of them or 10 of them or 12 or whatever.
I guess if
Four.
you count all the kobolds in the classic set, it's like 24,
Oh
right?
wow. Okay.
It's something
Yeah,
like eight.
that'd be
It's
cool.
like 8 knuckleheads, eight of the gougers. Yeah, it ends up being like
Uh,
24
yeah,
minis, which is pretty cool.
yeah. That's a. I kind of forget how it's a huge box, so it must have a lot of minis.
I had painted that set so many times it just got mind numbing.
Yeah.
But that was like, that was like a guaranteed when I was actively pursuing, commissions and that kind of stuff. That was a guaranteed sale. So what I used to do is I'd keep 2 sets of SDE on me painted, so that if I was at a convention or at an event or something like that, and somebody's like, "Hey, would you sell me a painted set?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll sell you this one on me. Just give me your unpainted." That's what I do. I'd trade them out, and they'd have a painted set immediately, which
That's
was
smart.
pretty awesome. Um, I might have to do that for Forgotten King.
Well, you go through these ones so fast. Why not? You'll be done next week.
These are they are faster to paint too, because the what's it called, um, the plant monster set is so much faster to paint with airbrush.
Oh, that's great.
Let's see. Troy Prez says Shaltari right now. I'm gonna paint some PHR soon though. Okay,
Nice.
cool.
Yeah, those are like every faction there has really great models. That the at least I think so. Like I think the detail is great, and the themes are like the styles of the different factions are different enough visually that you have
Mm-hmm.
a nice look on the board if you've got them all down.
Nice. There's been some local grumblings to try to get that started. In fact, the last LA Con, they had a group there trying to push the game be interesting to see if they've grown.
I'm sure if they continue with the plastics, it'll be even more popular. When it first came out a few years ago, a few of us were very excited for it, but then we saw the price tag at almost, I think it was like $90 per starter, and we've paid more for
Ouch.
starters. GW is crazy for a starter, but yeah, $90 for those small models, and in the end not too many. We couldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
But now with the plastics, it's way more affordable. And that two-player starter set, oh man, two-player starter set is the best starter set out there for sure, for sure.
I would say that in general, the miniature companies have gotten a lot better, a lot better at providing some cheap buy-in for folks now. I think
Yeah,
they kind of learned their lesson there. That so like most of the games now have a good or two-player starter, or they have good one-player starters.
yeah. I think that's
The
key. That suckers me in. I'm a big sucker for a good starter. So the more they do that, the more I'll buy. So keep
mhm.
it coming, folks.
The Operation Ice Storm Infinity set, that's a really good value for two
Yeah,
players.
yeah,
Um,
that's a good one too.
I was impressed by that. I picked up a set, and I'm not really an Infinity player, but I love painting the minis, so I picked one up, painted it, selling nomads. Anyone wants? Well,
Just
I'm
throwing it out there.
I'm sure one of the local Infinity players will take it off my hands eventually. We'll see. I do have some Infinity stuff like that after this SDE stuff gets painted that I want to paint for the challenge. I also want to paint. I want to get back to painting Wrath of Kings too, because
Oh,
I
those are
have
pretty models.
Kickstarter.
Those are nice too.
And it's a pretty fun game from what we've played. It seems like it's kind of it kind of has like a Warmahorde's feel to it, but it doesn't seem as clunky. It doesn't seem as and clunky is not even the right word. Just not as heavy. It one of the things about Privateer Press, which is great and also bad, is that you've got all those damage boxes. You've got things like tough rolls. Um, you've got feats. You've got in other words, you have a lot going on at and for a skirmish game, the game has a reasonably high model count. So it can be kind of, if you just want a quick tactical game, your options for Warmahordes are play a really small game, or um, or limit yourself in some other way. And
Yeah,
but Wrath of Kings, the way the rules seem to be designed to kind of to make you play with a sense of urgency, and the one die roll resolution for combat is also nice. It just helps move the game along a little bit faster. So it probably doesn't have the kind of depth that Warmahordes does, but you still kind of get that same type of experience. It's around the same model count, and the models are great. The themes for the models are really cool.
yeah, yeah.
The factions are very distinctive in that game. That's one of the things I really like about it.
Yeah, I like those the tech, what are the tech guys?
Technies, yeah.
Technies, yeah, I like the well, you know what, I'm gonna say I like them all. And like many games I like all the factions, but I think the Technies stand out, and the vampire one, whatever those guys are,
Oh yeah,
they're
yeah.
they're pretty neat.
hmm
Um, but the underwater
I
kind of dudes,
actually
those are cool. They're all good.
I actually am planning. I think the next faction I would paint would be Technies. I want to paint the pig dudes.
Yeah,
Those
yeah.
models are hilarious. Uh, let's see. Some few more comments. Mold line removal slows me down so much with plastic minis. Oh yeah.
Mm, yeah.
Relic Knights is a repeat offender there. Uh, the privateer, some of the privateer plastic kits are pretty bad. And then the early Mantic stuff is really. The early Mantic stuff was so bad. I decided not to go near Mantic, but yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see. Pre-ordered some GW paintbrushes. I hope I can get them on Friday. I might be able to make it. Oh, okay, cool. Hawk Wargames makes some of the best resin plastic 10mm models out there.
Agreed.
Okay.
Agreed.
Okay. I will admit that I don't venture too far away from 28 to 30 mil stuff, and I probably should. I think my most recent departure was Robotech, which let's just admit it, that was a builder's nightmare. But the end result was really cool looking. I just wish I could play it. It's so sad. I have that whole UEDF painted up, and that was a labor, mostly on the build side. Building it was like building. I don't know if you remember the old Macross models, the scale
Yeah.
models. It was like building 30 of
You got
those,
30,
but
I
they
was
were
gonna say,
all
yeah,
about but they're all about that big because each Veritech was, I want to say, somewhere in the area of like anywhere between 15 to 20 pieces, and they're tiny, tiny little pieces. So your tweezers are your friend and all that, and it was rough. So I got to the end of that, painted all of it. I was like, okay, who wants to play with me? And it was crickets. and I know that there are people like locally. They are in Pasadena, and that's about an hour from me. But I'm never out in that corner of SoCal. So, and those guys seem really cool. So maybe
Actually, that reminds me. In July, my family, we're going down to California for almost 2 weeks.
oh, nice.
Yeah,
Where are you going?
we are going. We're going to start in LA/Anaheim, and then head down to San Diego at the same time as Comic-Con. But I didn't get tickets this time, which was too bad.
Okay.
But we went a few years ago. My wife and I and our son, who was only, I think he was only like 7 weeks old or 8 weeks old. And we
Wow.
managed to go to Comic-Con, and it was amazing. It was one of the best things ever. And I was trying to get tickets this year, but I wasn't able to, which is too bad. But we're there at around the same time. Actually, that weekend we're in San Diego,
Oh,
so we're
wow.
looking forward to that trip. It's gonna be good.
Well, the week before is Anime Expo in LA.
Oh,
So that's for the July 4th weekend. I'll be there Sunday and maybe Friday. And then the following week is Comic-Con, and I'll be there the whole time. That said, though, I mean, you know that like during Comic-Con, even if you don't have tickets, sometimes it's just fun to be in town.
yeah, we will.
Um,
We're gonna go. My kids love that kind of stuff these days. They're all about superheroes and whatnot. So Star
oh,
Wars, I
nice.
really like Star Wars. So we will definitely be down in the area in the what is it, the gas lamp district.
Gaslamp District, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll go head down there and see
Well, hit me up.
stormtroopers and
I can meet you up. I can meet you out there at some point because I'll be in town that whole week. And if you're going to be,
yeah,
you're coming into Anaheim, so you'll be. Are you guys going to Disneyland or anything like that?
yeah, we're gonna do Disneyland. We're gonna stay in that area for a few days. Then we're gonna head to down. We're gonna go to Legoland, of course. Gotta.
Cool.
And then yeah, then head down to San Diego. So I think we're going for like from the 1st to the 12th. So I was thinking of contacting you,
Oh, wow.
just letting you know that we were going to go. Maybe we could see where you are and where we are, and maybe find a way to hook up.
Yeah, we can meet up. Sure, yeah, absolutely. I mean, my wife teaches in Anaheim, uh,
Okay.
uh, which so Anaheim is like 20 minutes from me, but we're always out there. There's plenty to do, obviously. Is it sad that I've
Yeah.
never been to Legoland?
Yeah, it is actually. It is. Lego.
I will say that because I've only recently had a child. Now I need to go when
Yeah,
he's
and you're gonna get into Lego. Lego will be your thing. My wife made the mistake of buying a set a couple of years ago, one of the Ninja Turtle sets, and from
yeah.
that it was just downhill from there. Now it's like I I can't speak too loudly, but like thousands of dollars and
Oh yeah.
you know and hours of building and the kids destroying and rebuilding. But it's a family thing, and everyone actually in our family enjoys it, and we all build and play and paint. So it's actually really cool.
Nice.
We actually went to Florida last year. We went in both January and May, and we went to Legoland both times. So I think
Oh
we're a
wow.
little obsessed. Yeah.
That's nice. But that's cool. So you'll be down in the area. That'd be great. We should yeah, we could totally arrange a meetup or whatever. My wife will be off school or off
Yeah.
teaching, so it should be easier to arrange times. Let's
Yeah.
see.
Yeah.
Some comments to catch up with. Comic-Con, damn tickets. Hey Tori, we'll see if I need help with photography or you know what, I need a handler. That's what I need. I keep telling Jose. Jose's my handler right now, but he kind of makes sure that I eat and stuff during conventions and that I'm at where I need to be at because I get scatterbrained. Uh, no Legoland, downright mournful. I know. Sorry, I've got a kid now, so I will be able to fix that soon. Hey Justin, take me to Legoland. Okay.
Yeah. Let's do it, man. I'll give you a tour of it. We've been enough times. We know all the rides. There's I don't know about the one in California, but the one in Florida. There's a show with it's like a little stage show, and it's some firefighters, and they got this little ditty. Put the wet stuff on the hot stuff. Put the white stuff on the hot stuff. So like my family, we sing that all the time. Like my kids see that we're cooking something, like, is that hot? Like, yeah, and but don't put the wet stuff on the hot stuff, and they laugh, and it's just goofy fun, goofy fun.
Yeah. I'm pretty excited about those days ahead.
Yeah,
Be
it's
pretty
it's
good.
all good. It's all good. It's worth all these sleepless nights and all the poopy diapers and all that. It's totally worth it.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. We're and our son is already kind of a convention regular. So
That's so cool.
he's been to Comic-Con, he went to WonderCon, he's been to, a couple of steampunk conventions and
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
he's been to a lot of stuff.
it's good. Got to raise them right.
He goes to Ren Fair twice a year. This year we're going 3 times because my wife
Oh
went a
wow,
little she went a little overboard on the tickets, and so it's like, oh well, we need to go 2 more times. Okay.
that's good though. That's a little different. I'm sure there's a lot of kids out there that don't ever get to experience that,
Mm-hmm.
and going a bunch of times when you're young. That's cool. Get him ready to be a big old geek when he's older. Huh?
Oh yeah, I don't think there's any avoiding that.
No, no, mine neither.
My wife is actually a little bit scared. She wants to make sure he's got the social skills, but I'm like, he's descended from us. He'll be fine.
Yeah,
Well, my
exactly.
wife definitely has the better social skills between the two of us, so he should be okay. But that's the one thing that is the one activity that my wife and I share in common because she's not a gamer. She's just not interested in it. But really enjoy the whole aspect of going to these types of things where you wear costumes and basically drink beer and hang out, and what's not to like.
Oh
So
yeah.
let's see. Luckily my Malifaux's all metal. Yeah, you know what, David? I love the metal Malifaux stuff. I loved it so much. I mean, you can tell I've got like I don't know how many videos on this channel are metal Malifaux. Loved that whole metal range. Um, I still kept I kept a few of the models after I sold off most of it, but some of my old favorite metal ones. I have a Nightmare Justice crew. I have um, I have the metal Colette Dubois.
Yeah.
Some of their metal stuff was just fantastic.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the whole metal versus plastic thing? Where do you fall on
Uh,
that?
I used to be okay. So when I first got into it, it was metals, and I had a little bit of trouble with metals because I didn't pin. And when you don't
Hmm.
pin, but you need to, because I was playing War Machine, and if you don't pin,
Yeah.
they fall apart, which they did. So I was really into plastics. So when I got finally into the Empire Army for Fantasy, I got all plastics, and same with my Skaven, all plastics, no metals, and I loved it. Um,
Hmm.
but in the last couple of years, I've been painting a lot of metals, and I've found a love and respect for metals that I didn't have before. And especially after I built the 1,000 point starter box for bolt action for the US guys, and it was so fiddly, it drove me nuts. I almost rage quit like I don't know how many times because the little pieces were so fiddly, and my I would get my like fingerprints in the glue and it'd be gross, and it took hours. And I was like, you know what? I almost gave up and I almost said, forget plastics. I'm going back to metals. But right now I'm
Yeah.
in the middle. I depending on what it is and whatever I'm painting, if it's metal, if it's plastic, I don't care. I like them all now.
Yeah. Yeah. I do pretty much like it all. I still, for me, maybe it's the nostalgia thing. I'm still, put a nice metal model in my hand, and I'm pretty happy about it. I can imagine trying to play Warmahordes with a metal jack that isn't pinned. That's just
Oh,
asking for it.
yeah, I had arm fall off mid game, like
The-
kaplunk. All right, we're done here.
yeah. Uh, but no, like some of the cipher metal stuff, I absolutely love that stuff. That is, uh, the Eldorado stuff, the
Yeah.
Animatactic stuff. Those metal, and I talked to Kai about it last year, and I'm like, "Are you guys ever gonna switch to plastic?" And he kind of looked at me funny, and he said, "No, we're not planning to." And I'm like, "Oh, good." Um, but then they discontinued Anima, so there's that. But
Yeah.
yeah,
There you go.
um,
No need for anything.
yeah.
Metal,
but
metal or
uh,
plastic.
but no, I still do like the metal models. I just I but I also agree though it depends on what we're talking about. Oh shoot.
Like, could you imagine doing all of those Super Dungeon Explorer in metal?
Oh geez. I have the Glimmer Dusk Ranger. I had her
Oh
in
yes.
metal. That was a nightmare. That was an absolute nightmare.
Must be heavy.
And the reason why isn't so much that it was fiddly, it's the fact that this giant chibi head is metal. So the model is completely top heavy, and when you try to glue it down, it's the head, even pinned, the head just seemed to want to like tilt to one side or try to slide off that tiny little ranger's body. That was a nightmare. So yeah, I agree. I mean, it depends on what we're talking about. That going to plastic with these was a necessity. I can't imagine stuff like where is it? Like the Well, never mind. It's not here. But some of the models are, are pretty. Oh no, here it is. This thing.
The big mushroom.
This this thing metal would suck because see how it's just kind of leaning forward. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm having a hard enough problem, like hard enough time keeping it stable without. I have to counterweight. I have to, yeah, I've got to counterweight it. But that thing metal would just be a nightmare.
Yeah.
Let's see. Just finished the Peacekeeper, Mech for Guild, and pinned and such a pain to assemble. The Peacekeeper had some really weird physics to it. It's a very spindly model. So
Very cool.
yeah,
Very cool, Spindly.
yeah, yeah. It's weird because that I by all accounts I should not like that model because it's kind of a goofy looking robot, if you
Yeah,
will.
it is. Yeah.
But it's also really awesome looking. Am I just not doing? She has like eyelids, and I'm trying to figure out. I might need to pull the card or not. We'll see. You know what? Let's just paint it like a regular. I think I'm caught overthinking. It's always a problem.
Yeah, and I think going back to that the conversation we had earlier about people getting frustrated or discouraged or whatever, I think overthinking sometimes with a model gets in the way, and yeah, sometimes you just got to paint. Just sit down and do it. Just do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm definitely overthinking this, so I'm just gonna paint it the way I think it should look.
Oh, yeah, there's another comment. Have Soviets for bolt action, and the plastics take way too much time to assemble. Yeah, I'm like frustratingly so. Like just silly, silly, silly.
One of these days, you guys are gonna get me into bolt action.
I tried it once so far, and it was good. It was simple, quick, slightly tactical, but because I was at one point in my life, a big, I guess World War II buff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it was good to finally play something that was along those lines, and yeah, it was really simple and easy to do, and lots of dice at times, which if you like lots of dice sometimes, which I do, it was good. Sometimes you only want one or two dice or simple things, but sometimes you just want to pick up two handfuls of dice and just go with it.
Yeah, I could see that being pretty fun.
Not all the time though. Not all the time.
Yeah, that's why I'm a big fan of keeping lots of games around that scratch different itches for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like last night, one of the things that's kind of been on my mind lately has been um, how long games it takes to set up and play games. That's been a thing for me. Like on because at my LGS, Tuesday night's our night, and it's us, and we play. We play Relic Knights, we play Infinity, we play a few other games, Eldorado. Um, so there's our group, which is just a handful of us, and then you have a handful of a bunch of different people. So you've got uh, another handful of people that play GW games. You've got another handful of people that play Privateer. You've got some folks that play X-Wing, right? Um, so you've got lots of different games happening on Tuesday nights. But the one thing that I keep noticing is, we're playing Relic Knights, and those games go about an hour. They, once you understand the game, once you're comfortable, the games go about an hour or less. We've had some games go like 35
Yeah.
minutes,
Nice.
and they're good games. They're good tactical skirmishes, And we keep noticing, like last night we played 3 games, and we had dinner, we did shopping, we did the whole, just kind of tooled around the store for a bit. And we did that. We managed to do all that in 4 hours, and all the other games around us were still going. So it was like, well, you know, I I don't know. For me personally, I would rather play a lot of different games with my, with whatever time I have to game for the week than playing one big one. And I know that that's not everybody's like that. That's just what I want to do. Like, I'd rather have a bunch of different experiences playing some of these smaller games than I would like playing a large game for the same amount of time.
Yeah, I'm for me, gaming right now is really rare. Like I've got a friend coming over tomorrow afternoon. We're gonna play a little bit, and that's the first time I've played in a week because he came over last Thursday.
Hmm.
Back when I was playing board games mostly, and then minis on Thursday nights, I wouldn't mind playing a lot of games. Like if I could play 5 games in a night or 3 games in a night, that'd be great. When we got into Warhammer, things changed. We couldn't play more than we actually didn't finish very many games of fantasy when we went out to play at the store, and that sucks. That
Hmm.
sucks when you spend so much time playing a game and you don't even finish. But if you get
Yeah, I see
a
that
game like
happen a lot,
yeah,
actually. Hmm.
yeah, but games like Infinity or Relic Knights or whatever, where you can actually play 1 or 2 or 3 games in a night. That's pretty cool. That's good.
Hmm. Yeah.
Although my one friend and I, Andrew, we tend to make even short games take way longer than they should. I think we talk too much,
Yeah.
and things just don't like even very small games of War Machine. We've taken like over an hour for what should take half an hour.
That's not necessarily bad either, though, right? I mean, if you're having fun and it's just like, especially if you guys are just kind of treating it a little more like beer and pretzel
Yeah, yeah,
type
yeah,
thing,
yeah,
it's fine. Just uh, go casually and enjoy the evening.
yeah. Again, it's a social thing for me. Like the gaming part is I love playing the game. Winning for me is honestly not the biggest thing, but the social aspect is way more important. So if we're having fun and we're chatting and we have things to talk about, way better than me getting there, kicking butt and leaving.
Yeah, I like I I like to play a game where um I try to make something exciting happen, win or lose.
Yeah,
It either blows up in your face, and it depends of like if I'm if it looks like I'm gonna win a game, I still want to try something just a little bit off center because just the game might be more entertaining that way. Um, or the opposite if I'm playing trying to come back from behind, that's also really exciting for me because you'll take more risks, and so
that Hail
you
Mary
know
play. Yeah,
the Hail Mary play and the die rolls become more. Uh, there's a little more tension behind them. I like that kind of
yeah, yeah.
uh,
The problem
aspect to
is
it.
when it backfires. And like the one story I like to tell is we were playing fantasy and I took a giant in my ogre list because a giant is 200 points of often wasted points.
Hmm.
And we played one game where I took the giant only to give my opponent as much as an advantage as I could, but it ended up crashing into his lines. He killed it, but it actually randomly fell on his general, who was his only caster, who had turned into a giant black hydra. But it killed the hydra. It fell on it and crushed it. And he was like, "All right, let's pack this up. This is useless." And he doesn't want to play fantasy anymore. And I think I
Oh,
killed it for him. So I tried, and it didn't work. And I feel so bad. I feel so bad.
I don't know, but you were going for something big there. That and granted that in my opinion, that's a big moment, and I would have thought that was hilarious.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Um,
Well, I laughed. He didn't laugh so much, but I laughed. And for me again, cinematic is key. And I could just picture that giant just like crashing into the lines, beating up on
yeah.
the Hydra, not winning, but then just getting killed and falling right on it. It was actually really cool until we packed up a minute later. So.
I don't know. That's kind of awesome. Uh, well, I was playing the last game of Infinity I played at WonderCon. My friend and I were playing, and I took the stupid list with like the where you have this one really overpowered piece, and then you just have a bunch of nothing around it. Which
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't know enough about Infinity, but apparently it was explained to me afterwards that that's a somewhat valid strategy. To go Rambo. I didn't really understand that. So, and I was like, I'm too lazy to actually think up a list. So I'm gonna take this one guy that's worth, like 60% of my points, and then, uh, and then I'll just fill up the rest of it with these normal guys that do nothing. And what I ended up doing in the game was I ended up running the one guy uh, totally through his whole like front line, got behind his front line, and then just proceeded to slaughter his whole army. And I was like, this is so unfair. I can't believe this is, and I was actually the one upset about it. He's like, no, this is hilarious. We're going to play it through. And
Oh,
we ended up playing it through. But I don't feel bad. That was a really funny game. But I'm like, yeah, but I feel like I did something wrong. And no, that was lesson learned. You can
yeah.
do that in Infinity.
Yeah,
But as long
that's
as,
your backup list. Yeah.
yeah, as long as he, no, and I actually had run that a couple of times before with friends, and they just know to kill the main guy really, really early.
Yeah.
And that doesn't bother me either because it's like I knew that going in. I knew that my options were either that guy's gonna die, they're gonna kill him off early, and then I'm just pretty much out of the game, or something really stupid is gonna happen, and that guy's just gonna destroy the other guy's army. So, let's see. Prefer having fun than win to lose. Yeah, I hate when I just getting table turn two. I played my first game of the Power Gamer at GW store. Bought 3 Demon Prince online list. Ouch.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's the
yeah. That's
sorry.
not cool. I I kind of, I don't want to say I don't like people that do that, but I don't like when people game like build those lists to just utterly destroy. And I get that some people like that, and I find it in like in GW games. I find it in War Machine Hordes. You can make a list that will just destroy and make it so unfun for the other guy, and that's the whole point of the list, and that
Hmm.
totally bugs me. And that's like complete opposite of me. I'm a very fluffy player, um,
Yeah.
not to the point where I create backgrounds for all of my units, because that's way more effort than I want to put into it, but I like that. I think when people do that, it's great. But I like, I make a list that has a little bit of everything, and you get to see the look of things. Like my ogres, like I don't stock up on the riders, the cavalry, that if you have 2 units of 4 of those, you could win the game or whatever. I would never
Hmm.
do that. That's not fun for me, and if I'm crushing the opponent, it's not fun for them either, which makes it unfun for me. So why in the world would I do
Yeah.
that? To me, it doesn't make sense, personally.
Yeah. I think that okay, the issue I have with that particular scenario isn't quite isn't so much that the guy took kind of a, we'll call it a cheesy list or a beardy list or anything like that. It's that in I, I almost feel like that guy probably was waiting around looking for a more casual player just to unleash that upon. You know,
Yeah,
I,
yeah.
I I've I've run into that, especially when you play games where a more popular game like 40K or whatever, where you can the plus side is you can walk into a shop and you can meet a total stranger and get a game going. That's a good thing, but it also kind of puts you potentially in the within the sights of opportunistic players, we'll just call them. People
Yes.
that are like, oh well, I made this stupidly powerful list. I want to catch somebody by surprise and just completely decimate them. And I feel like, at least from my 40K days, I feel like that was a thing. Like that actually, people were actually trying to do that. Um, and it sucks because, like Tori's saying, it turned him off from playing. It turns a lot of um, it it takes a lot of the fun away from especially new players or casual players that are just there that like put my models on the board and enjoy a game.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, maybe I'm assuming the worst in somebody, but I do feel like at least some of the guys that I've seen that I've run into are kind of out to do that specifically. It's not that they
Yeah.
want. It's not that they want a good competitive match. It's almost like I just want to pick on somebody, and I don't like that. I think we all kind of have stories like that too from you know when we played games.
And it kind of makes you not want to go sometimes to a public place like a store and play with strangers because they might be like that, and that's kind of off-putting,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Yep. And it's not just GW. There's guys that do that for like Magic. They just hang
Yeah.
out at a shop and they wait for what they consider to be an easy win, catch somebody unawares. I don't really understand the reward in that personally, or if there is, maybe the goal is just to piss somebody off and ruin someone's day. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. An ego thing sometimes. Who knows? Like I get it if you want to practice, like say you've got a list or a deck or whatever the game is that you want to try out because you're going to a tournament one day
Hmm.
and you want to practice it
Yeah,
against.
and there are guys that will tell you that. They'll say, "Hey, I'm
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
playing." Then the other person at least kind of understands what they could be getting into, right? Um,
yeah.
but not like, "Hey, let's play a game," and just catch somebody with some crazy online list. Yeah, it's a bummer. That's a bummer, Tori. But I don't know. Come when you want, when you can, man. Come check us out on come down on a Tuesday or whatever. There's a lot of different games you can. People play the GW guys that play there seem to be pretty cool as well. So you might have a different experience. You might just change it up. I'm going very slow tonight, but it doesn't bother me at all.
We
I'm
love it.
totally okay with that.
We love it.
The conversation's better. I can paint more slowly.
Apparently, you're human. Who knew?
Yeah, somebody pulled the power cord out, so I'm running on battery power, which just not as efficient. But yeah, I'm looking forward to Saturday because a lot of it should be cool to see a lot of different people that just want to get together and paint and see everybody working on. It's kind of like May Painting Challenge live. You
Yeah,
get to see everybody's project live and hang out with people. Maybe
yeah.
uh,
That'd
maybe
be
the
cool.
war boss can get us all over to Hawaii. I know he doesn't live there anymore, but that would be kind of cool. Get a bunch of people over to Hawaii and we'll paint.
Oh yeah, like on the beach. How's that?
What's that?
On the beach.
On the beach, yeah. The blowing sand on a wet miniature, that's not gonna hurt it at all.
It's texture. Texture.
Sure. It's the new technique, all the rage in miniature painting.
And it's natural. It's 100%
Yeah.
natural.
Yeah, he's so yeah, Warboss moved to Northern California.
Oh,
Um
oh,
so
I didn't even
he's
know where he was.
yeah, apparently he's like 6 hours from me. Um and they actually have a pretty good gaming community up in that area. And they've got they've got the Bay Area Open, which is a new up and coming convention. They've got KublaCon this month, which is a little more on the historical side. But I have a few friends up there that have been trying to get me to go to KublaCon. Troy Perez goes to KublaCon also, so he can tell more about that. But I've always heard good stuff about that particular convention. So one thing about California, it is a very good place to be if you like going to conventions.
Apparently.
We have, a slow year for me would be to go to 6 conventions.
Oh gosh.
There's a lot of conventions.
Yeah, I'm in Toronto, and we've got a number of conventions. We just went to a Comic Con just a few weeks ago. I think about a month ago. Then we've got
Okay.
Fan Expo in I believe it's August, either July or August. I think it's August, and I really enjoyed it for a number of years. And then I went to San Diego Comic Con, which is
Mm-hmm.
at least 4 times the size of Fan Expo, and it's like, oh, I don't know if I could go back. It's not the same. It's nothing like it.
San Diego Comic Con, I tell people that I trade lives for a week. I live some alternate life. I do. I feel like I live some alternate life during Comic Con. I'm some other guy because I'll put you get up in the morning and you put a costume on. That's what you're gonna wear, and you drive into this city where everybody's a superhero, and you pay $35 for parking, and you think that's okay. Like there's a certain level of insanity that you just accept. Yeah, $35 for parking, sure. I'll pay $11 for a hot dog. Why not?
Oh
Um,
gosh.
and you
Yeah.
do that for a week, and your life is just so different. I mean, well, you've been there. I mean, like you go any part of San Diego during Comic Con, and there's just going to be people in costume, no matter
Yeah.
where. Like no matter where you are, there's somebody walking around that's dressed as a superhero, or you might see a pack of zombies down the street. Oh, that's fine.
Yeah,
Sure.
and it's
Comic Con.
normal. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the best part.
It's
It's accepted. People like it, and everyone's doing it, so no one's out of place. If you're not
yeah.
wearing a costume, you're the weirdo.
It's actually that is absolutely true. That is absolutely. If you're not wearing a costume, you either have to be wearing a uniform for a booth, or you've done something horribly wrong. You're in, and you probably need to be punished. You've done something wrong. If you're not wearing a costume.
But and it's great. Like when we have our Comic Cons here and people dress up, it's downtown. It's in a similar locale, like in San Diego, by the water in a big convention center, and
Mm-hmm.
that whole area is just full of people dressed up and loving it and taking pictures, and it's great. And then you see people that are not part of it, driving by or going by in the area. You're like, why are these people dressed up? That's so weird. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is that pixie doing chasing that Wookiee? Like, what's going on? But it's still accepted. The people that are part of it, it's all good. No matter what you're dressed as, it's all
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, in San Diego, the locals are just so used to it that like I could go to San Diego today in costume and they would just assume that there's another convention in town. Like
Yeah,
no one would
like oh,
look at me twice. Um,
oh, there's another one.
Conversely, that year that my wife and I went to Gen Con,
Oh,
that was interesting because they have Gen Con, and if you're the Indiana locals understand that there are going to be people in costume, but some of the other people there are still not used to that.
yeah.
Um, Luckily for us, when we went to Gen Con, they had a biker convention at the same time, which was hilarious. So, you go 2 blocks one way, and you've got bikers, and they're all the motorcycles are just literally swarming the streets. You go 2 blocks the other way, you've got nerds, and um, and the town, like it seemed like the town ran out of food because we went to a couple different restaurants and they were like, "Hey guys, we're out of food."
Oh God,
And
like
we
literally.
ended up, and we eventually found places to eat or whatever. But what was cool was we were dressed steampunk. So we had like the leather coats and all that stuff. So we were actually cool with either crowd. Like we
Yeah,
blended in very well with the biker crowd. We blended in equally well with the nerd crowd. So it worked out.
perfect.
Um, but yeah, let's see. Don't forget pretty girls and sexy cosplay. Yeah, that happens. Kind of have to
Yep,
make that accept that as being normal.
yep.
Uh, but yeah, I can't explain it. It's like if you were to take my week, my Comic-Con week, and just write it down on a piece of paper and go, "You're gonna enjoy that. You would like that experience." I tell you, you were crazy. I'd get like that sounds like the most horrible thing ever. Why would I spend all this money? Be uncomfortable, walk around in costume, have to carry terrain through crowds of 100,000 people. That would not be a fun week for me. But it is, and
Every
it's
year.
something about just like I said, you just feel like a, you live a different life. You're a citizen of another planet or whatever, and that's the way it's going to be. Uh, but yeah, I will never quite understand that, but that's just Comic Con. You just have to love it for what it is.
Yep. And again, you're not alone in that boat. You know how many other people are
Hmm.
schlepping these giant costumes sometimes across the city on public transit
Hmm.
too to
Oh yeah,
uh, to do this, right?
the bus systems during Comic Con are amazing. The the things that the costumes that people have to try to fit in that tiny little door to get on the bus is always awesome.
Yeah, we were very impressed with when we went with the transit and the people were so nice. You know, we had a huge stroller, and we
Hmm.
were at one point we had this huge stroller that we're pushing off this. I don't know. What do you call that? Is it a streetcar? Do you call it a streetcar there?
Little trolley.
A trolley, yeah,
Well,
yeah,
they're not
yeah,
really. Yeah, I guess they're trolleys. Yeah.
yeah. Like because we in here in Toronto we have streetcars that are similar, but
Hmm.
a bit more. I find that the ones that were there were they stretched out of the city, which was different
Yeah.
from here. Like they don't go out of the city here. We have subways that do that, but not those. Anyway, so we had this big stroller, and people were just very helpful, and people in costume were very helpful, and it was just nice. It was nice, and when we got down to that area, there were just like thousands of people, and this was on Sunday too that we went, just thousands of people, and it
Hmm.
was just it was just full and crowded, but everyone was happy.
What did your kids think of Comic Con?
Well, the when we went to San Diego, they were just the older one was just a few months old. He was only I think he was 8 months old, so like
Oh, that's
he
right. That's right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but
So,
he was held by a stormtrooper, so he liked that. We have a picture of him smiling in the arms of it, and he was wearing a monkey little baby monkey outfit, so with the ears and everything and the tail. So that was really cool.
that's awesome.
Yeah, he was happy with that. Um, when there was the Comic Con here in Toronto just a month ago, my wife and I went together on the one day, but the other day we went with the kids just to the area, and they love seeing all the costumes. They were very shy,
Oh,
very
nice.
scared of many of them, but they were like,
Yeah.
from afar, pointing at stormtroopers and Thor and all these superheroes that they know. So they actually really like that. So I think the at least the older one, he's going to be 4 in a few weeks. He'll like
Oh, nice.
the con here in August. So I think I'm going to take him.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool. So my Comic Con, this kind of ties in with Tori's last comment, uh, uh, and and the whole bringing a baby to Comic Con. So last year, we took my kid who was, I want to say he was 6 months, 7 months, yeah, 7, 8 months to Comic Con, right? And so we were on the convention floor. We ran into Katrina Law, and I don't know if you guys know who Katrina Law is. She was in Spartacus, the cable series.
Oh
She
yes.
did she did a few other shows, right? Um, and needless to say, Katrina Law is a good-looking woman. Um, and, and she was one of my favorites from Spartacus. So we run into her on the convention floor, and I point her out to my wife, and I'm like, "Hey, let's go talk to Katrina Law." And Katrina Law, like, "Oh, look, your baby's adorable, whatever." So so she takes our son, and our son um our son got a little familiar with her, which was pretty funny and shocking at the same time. Like he I've never, like, we've never seen him do, like, he was literally, and I'm not exaggerating. I actually have the photos. I'll try to find them. He was trying to make out with Katrina Law, which was just insane. And and we have, so we snapped a bunch of photos of it because it was so funny, and her agent or whatever thought it was the funniest thing she had ever seen.
That
And
is
my
great.
wife and I are just, we were so embarrassed, like, oh, we tried apologizing to her, and, and she was like, she looked over at us, and she's like, your son is straight. And uh she autographed some photos for me, and left me a really cool note from
Oh,
last year.
that is
But
awesome.
that was one of the more interesting things I'd seen at Comic Con.
Oh, that's great. Were you just like, you lucky bastard?
Well, no, my wife and I were laughing about it, and I was like, well, he got further than I would have got, so as long as we teach him that that's not okay when he's a little older, like, it's cute now, but don't do
Hey,
that
what
later.
happens at Comic Con stays at Comic Con. All right.
And the cool thing about it, though, is she was so cool about it, and we were just, she thought it was funny also. Like, in, in the moment, we couldn't laugh. We were too shocked, and yeah, we were too shocked, and half terrified to say anything. She thought it was funny. She took it in stride. She's like, "Yeah,
Yeah,
your son is straight. There's no question about it." Um, and so that was a cool moment. I can't
that's
wait
great.
to tell my kid that story when he will understand it and appreciate it.
Yeah,
That
that was
he,
his first girlfriend. Mm.
yeah, yeah, he accosted a celebrity at Comic Con before he could speak. So,
That's great. That's a good. Well, let's see what happens this year. He's got a lot to live up to.
oh yeah, well, he's a chatterbox now. Now he still likes to flirt with the ladies. It's
Right.
yeah, there's a part of me rooting for that. There's another part of me saying, "Hey, we want to be respectful."
Yeah,
But yeah, yeah, Comic Con is good times. We're doing I don't know if you guys are into anime, but anime cons are kind of a big thing, kind of a bigger growing thing, especially with games like Super Dungeon Explorer, um, where they've got a pretty solid um, fan base with that crowd.
Yeah.
So we're going to Anime Expo this year, which is always a big. My club, we've been going for the last 3 or 4 years, but now like Ninja Jin has decided that they want to have a full booth there and all that, so that should be good.
That's good. Yeah.
So Tori, if you want to go to AX, man, let me know. We can make that happen. Just need you to learn a couple of these games, and you can come hang out with us. It'll be fun. And yeah, you'll actually be in town during AX too. I don't know if you're. I don't know if you guys are into anime or not, but that's a
Um,
big convention for that.
yeah, you know what? I think well, my wife is only learning to be geeky now. Like she was never really geeky in any way, but now she's into the superhero stuff. We're moving in a couple months, and we're buying a lot of like artwork and various things for the house, and a lot of them are superhero or comic-y or whatever, and
That's
which is a
cool.
big surprise to me because like she's not into that stuff normally, but now she is. So maybe anime she'd consider. Um, yeah, I think the con too. We like going to the cons. At least she does now. For the like Artist Alley especially, but we like looking at
Oh,
the
sure.
costumes and all that stuff. So I'll tell her about it. We especially with the kids, she
Do
might
you
she might
think
want to try it out.
that's cool? Would you say that some of her desire to branch out in this way has to do with you and your boys, or no?
Yeah, I would
Or you think this
definitely
is
because
just
of the
a kind of
kids.
a okay?
Yeah, maybe like she's had inside of her, but she's been too embarrassed all these years. I don't know, like it could have been, but I think having the kids who like this stuff, and now with like with the movies that are coming out that are so accessible to non geeks, like Captain America, Avengers, all these things that are traditionally comics are not for everyone, but these movies are for
Mm-hmm.
everyone. Like they're
Mm-hmm.
my wife really likes them. I think that's really helped her see things in a different light.
That's cool.
Yeah, and like Lego with the kids. Like I said, she bought the first set, and now like even she builds it, and she's happy to build it. Video games, like where my kids kind of like watching Skylanders or Disney Infinity, and they like the heroes and they like the characters and stuff. So um, yeah, I think having the kids has really opened her up to these things, which she probably wouldn't have done otherwise. Because I've always liked Star Wars. I've always liked comic-y, geeky toys and stuff, and she never really cared for it, but now she
Mm-hmm.
does. So,
Did she make fun of you because of it before? Or?
oh hell yeah, yeah, yeah. My my one of my other hobbies is collecting 1/6 scale figures, like 12-inch figures. And when we first moved in together, I left a lot of my stuff at my parents' house,
Ah,
but I brought a number of things with me, like a 1/6 scale Jabba the Hutt, who's like
oh, nice.
almost 2 feet long, and like he's huge, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she was like, "Why are you bringing that?" And I said, "I have to. He's Jabba the Hutt, and how could I not?" And so we had it in our bedroom in our first apartment. And she's like, "He's looking at me. He's staring at me. This isn't cool. Put him away." um, yeah, yeah. So
That was probably a big step for her to
yeah,
accepting that.
yeah.
I know it was
She
for
didn't
my
leave me.
wife.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. She had to accept it. Now she's embracing it, which is awesome. That my next step is to get her to do some cosplay or something. And I think she would. Like she's always thinking about like what's her next family Halloween costume going to be. Like she
Oh,
wants
there
to
you
go
go.
as the Incredibles
Oh,
this
that'd be
year.
awesome.
Yeah, because we have
Yeah.
we have two boys, but what, they don't mind being girls. They're goofy kids. They'll play the girl. They'll play Violet. So um, anything that we can do as a family, she'll love. And if it means we dress up together, why not?
That would be cool. My wife and I are talking about, for like a family cosplay thing, doing Gomez and Morticia Adams, and our little boy would be, and we would do steampunk. So we would do those costumes and kind of steampunk them out a little bit,
Oh yeah.
and then and then our little boy would be, shoot, I forget the name of the baby in the
Oh
movies. Shoot, she knows the name because she's been
yeah.
like thinking about this more than I have. So there's that.
There you go. Perfect.
Let's see. Tori says, I do want to go to Anime Expo. Okay, good. We should get together. I can, because we're trying to recruit people to come help out in the booth, and you have the photography skills. Maybe we can leverage that as well. Jabba the Hutt with Slave Leia. Hey man, I resemble that remark. I need to eat a few more donuts. No, I'd rock that. Be great.
If I could get my wife into a Slave Leia costume, I would. I'll be Jabba the Hutt. I don't care. I'll be selected from. I'll be whatever. That's my dream, is for her to wear one of those. But yeah, it's yeah. She won't. She won't. Wonder
I
Woman
like
though.
Oh yeah, Wonder Woman.
Yeah, she would do
Be a
that.
cool
She's a big
cosplay.
Wonder Woman fan.
Game D&D back when groups called us devil worshippers. I remember those days. I
Ugh.
played AD&D. That's where I spent a good part of my early years, and I remember the pamphlet in particular that they had that was like, if you played D&D, you could invoke the devil. He would up at your house because you were playing D&D. That
Oh
was
god.
awesome. I just couldn't take it seriously, but so many people were afraid of it. They were genuinely afraid, and considering the time, if you looked at the original, especially the original Dungeon Master's Guide, when it would actually go through how you summon a demon familiar. It would tell you, you draw the pentagram this way, it has to be this size. It
Oh
actually
wow.
went into some detail. So I'm like, okay, I could see somebody, making that extra. It is kind of a leap, though,
Yeah,
to
yeah,
to get to that conclusion. But still, in the '80s, I could see people.
yeah.
We believed that, we still thought that what's the name of that movie? Shoot, the nuclear war one. What was it called? It's not Day After Tomorrow. Was it The Day After? Yeah, it was called The Day After, right? David, I'm sure you remember this, because
Yeah.
I remember seeing that movie when I was in the fourth grade, I think. Fourth grade, fifth grade. It was about nuclear war, about the Russians just like blowing us up. I remember I just remember how scared everyone was during stuff like that. So we were scared of a lot of weird stuff in the '80s. I guess nuclear war wasn't that weird, but being afraid that playing D&D actually summons the devil to come over to your house, that was okay. That's a little ridiculous.
That's a much like a Ouija board. I get Ouija boards. Yeah, the devil's in there. But D&D, come on, you're rolling D20. What's the worst that could happen?
Oh, I rolled psionics for my guy.
That would be cool, though. That would be cool.
Like the Baptist pastor wow, this is these conversations go in some weird directions when we have this many people commenting. Wow. Well,
Corey,
I guess it's kind of good though. Where like geekdom we've come a long way, right?
yeah.
We've
And thanks to
we can
thanks to pop culture, geekdom is a lot more accepted. not to they'll still make fun of us, like, the non-geek people, the regular people, the cool people will still make fun of geeks.
Mm-hmm.
But like, how many of these people who used to make fun of, say, Star Trek or whatever, comics, it's all for nerds or whatever, they're watching the movies,
Mm-hmm.
they're watching the TV
Yep.
shows. Like Battlestar Galactica was huge for the non-geek, the non-sci-fi viewer, and it opened up science fiction to a lot of people that hadn't watched it before, and would, shy
Yeah.
away from Star Trek. But thanks to all these movies, it's mainstream now.
Mm-hmm. I will. Here's a confession of when my wife and I were dating, uh, we we went to Las Vegas together for a weekend once, and we were, we're in town. Our plan was basically to do nothing of importance, just mess around, gamble, drink, whatever. And we, looking through the local events, we found that there was a Star Trek convention in town. Um, and so as kind of a kitsch, the kitsch factor, the tourism factor, we were like, oh, we should totally go to a Star Trek convention because I've never been to a Star Trek convention. And she thought that would be, kind of cool and ironic or whatever. But at the time, I remember secretly going, yes, we're going to a Star Trek convention. I even know that I'm really a fan. Uh, but that was really cool. That was really interesting. So we ended up going to a Star Trek convention very early on in our. But she should have seen the warning signs. There were miniatures at my house. They weren't on display, but they were very easy to find because they were everywhere. So yeah, her fault for not being aware.
Yeah, man. Yeah. When my wife
Yeah,
said I do, yeah,
yeah.
you do it all. You're stuck with
You
all of
should
it
have
now.
known what you were getting into. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's see. You should check out the D&D propaganda movies, Mazes and Monsters. I remember Mazes and Monsters. That movie was hilarious. Yeah, that was with Tom Hanks.
Hmm.
Man,
Never saw that.
D&D. But now D&D is like D&D is way D&D is more mainstream than what we do. We're the nerdy ones compared to D&D. Has got a kind of a and I say this with the utmost respect, but it does have a little bit of that. Let's call it the hipster factor going right now. You know,
Yeah.
it got a
Yeah.
little bit of that going. Um, so yeah, I hate to say it. I guess what I'm saying is
They're cooler than us. Yeah.
on the Big Bang Theory, I think we're safe.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Big Bang Theory. That's another one where, they have so much in there that people used to, well, I guess still do, shy away from it and or make fun of, but it's right in there in their favorite show, and it's one of the top shows, right? And it's been
Yeah,
on for years.
it's a top show. Um, it's got mainstream appeal. It is part of what, love it or hate it, it is part of what has helped kind of bridge nerd culture with everything else. And so
Yeah.
you got to appreciate it for being at least kind of opening up people's expanding people's horizons a bit. Comic-Con too. I mean, the Comic-Con, when I first went to Comic-Con, like 91 or 90, I forget, that was actually, believe it or not, a comic convention.
Mhm.
And since then the movie studios have kind of turned it into
Yeah.
a comic convention. And there's some downsides to that, but also it's a cool thing to say that you're going to Comic-Con. It's not a. I remember if I told somebody I was going to Comic-Con back when I was in high school, then for sure, then that would be looked down upon. So just consider. I mean, I'm not that old. Well, okay, I kind of am, but I'm not. but still, just for that type of transition to happen over the past couple of decades, that's saying something.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's see. A new book on Gary Gygax is coming out. I totally plan on playing D&D again. Just now, right now in my life, I don't have the time for a regular campaign. Yeah, sadly, I haven't played D&D since I was, I want to say, 15. And that was, like I said, that was AD&D. We played AD&D. We played Oriental Adventures. That was awesome. I loved Oriental Adventures. And then we played what's it called? The sci-fi one. Man, what was the name of that? I can totally picture.
Star Frontiers or Frontiers? Star Frontiers?
Yeah, Star Frontiers. Yeah. I totally remember what the cover looked like. Yeah, that was cool stuff.
Yeah, I was never an RPG. I was never a role player, I guess, role playing gamer or whatever it is. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. I can fuddle my words. My brother gave me his AD&D, starter box, and I could never find anyone to play it with. No one wanted to play with me. None of my friends were dorky enough to do it. So I had this box forever, and then I finally got rid of it. And when I finally got into board gaming, I was hoping to get into some role playing to finally try it out, and I did dabble. Like I've tried a few sessions here and there, but it's never really stuck. And all the guys that I play with, either minis or board games or whatever, they used to do RPGs, but they don't anymore because of the time. Like it's just to get that time commitment is hard, especially most of us have families now with young kids, and it is hard.
Right, you have to get it's not like a miniature game. You've got a regular commitment from an opponent. You could meet once or twice a month, get your game of whatever system you're playing in, and be good. But for RPG, you need the commitment of, we'll say, at a minimum 3 to 4 players to actually run a decent campaign, and that just seems to be harder and harder to do these days with with anybody, not just guys our age that have families, but even I noticed that even the younger guys trying to get campaigns in are having a harder time.
Yeah.
So
I have the Star Wars RPGs, the new ones from Fantasy Flight, and I haven't played those yet. And again, I'm a big Star Wars fan, and I want to do some RPGs, even if it's just the simple pre-generated little campaigns, little sessions that are already built for you. I'd do that just to get the Star Wars flavor in. But it's hard. It's hard to even get 3 hours once in a while. So
I think what I may end up doing as a compromise, instead of playing a full-fledged RPG, is I might try one of these like skirmish or gang-based RPGs, like or a campaign like a Necromunda or Mordheim.
Mordheim, yeah.
Something like that. That's it has a campaign mode, but it's not necessarily RPG based. But I want to try right now. I want to give Free Blades another shot, because I don't feel I've given that game its due. I actually kind of trashed the game after I tried playing it. I didn't understand where they were coming from. But I don't know. There's something telling me that I'm missing something in that game. It might actually be a pretty good game, especially if I'm looking to play something campaign based. That might be a good system to look at. I don't know. Have you? Well, you're familiar with the game, right?
I know it, and I know I can picture the models. I remember when they were coming out, they actually did look interesting, but I haven't tried it. I never got to test that one out.
Yeah, I painted up a couple sets of it. I thought that the models for the money were pretty good value.
Hmm.
The world setting, you could tell they spent a lot of time developing their world. It's not unlike, Game of Thrones type setting.
Yes.
So I like that. It was when what they lost me when they got into, well, you have to have, it's a tiered dice system, so you have to have all these different types of dice around depending on the stats of your character. Um, and the rule, when I first read through the rules, I was like, these rules seem a little bloated, but I don't know. I still think there might be something to that game.
Hmm.
So,
I like the idea of those the tiered dice system. The idea. Granted, I
mhm.
haven't played a game that actually uses that, but I like the idea that, especially what's the Black Scorpion Tombstone and Cutlass. I think those are the games that they have where they have that kind of system as well. And I think if you take damage, you go lower and you drop your dice, and the idea, the concept, I think is really cool. In practice, I don't know. Maybe it's a little harder because, like you said, you have to have different dice and pay
what
attention to that. I don't know.
what kind of turned me off was when I was like, uh, I can carry a D8 or a D20 or a D12 on me, and then they got into some really weird ones, like, oh no, now you need to have a D30 and a D24, and I'm like, where does one get this stuff? Because I don't even know where I would get a D24. Um, I guess you could roll a D12 and another die and figure out if you're in the top 12 or the bottom 12. But I don't know. That just kind of turned me off. I'm like, life should not be that complicated.
Yeah. Yeah, could you
So,
imagine?
but that,
Roll the d12, flip heads,
yeah,
flip a coin, heads or tails. You know,
yeah.
rock paper scissors. All right.
So you either rolled a 3 or a 15. We're not sure. Um, yeah. But I don't know. I still want to go back and revisit it. I seem to of lately I seem to be of the opinion that pretty much all of these games coming out are good or have something good about them.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's not that I want to play them all. I just kind of want to learn. I think there's something to be learned from just about like any of these games. But I don't know. So yeah. Well, this model is done. I think pretty much. She's she's about as done as we'll say. This is the Terry Brook Mage, looking pretty good.
Yeah.
And then the she needs. She actually just she's pretty good. She's a pretty bland paint scheme. Maybe just another highlight. She's good. But it is now 11:30 my time, which means it's 2:30 your time,
Oh yeah.
right? Do you have to get up for work tomorrow?
Yeah, in about probably 4 hours when the kids get up.
Ouch. Ouch.
Yeah.
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 So okay, well, I am just about done.
Yeah.
So we'll check. Do you guys have any saw Kickstarter for D14, D16, and D18? Maybe it was Free Blades Kickstarter. I don't know. But yeah. Do you guys have any other comments here before I think we're gonna wrap this up because I know I have to sleep and I know Justin's probably gonna get
I'm almost done.
much less sleep than me. But let's see. No, it looks like everybody's good. David's out. So yeah, any final comments or anything, Justin, before we sign off here?
Not really. Well, my wife just came down. I woke her up by talking too loud, so I have to go
Uh-oh.
anyway. But no, she's good. Whatever. But I got two models done. I got
Nice.
I got, I got two samurai done. So thank you very
Nice.
much for having me on. It was actually
Yeah.
good to finally be able to join you and not just watch and comment, but be part of the action. So thanks a lot.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for hopping on and thanks everybody for watching. And yeah, let's like I said, I'll continue to post feeds on the Google group and see who pops on. So anyway, I think that's going to do it for this show. Want to thank everybody for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.